Welcome into a late night episode of Betting the Pitch Soccer Edition. I know there's been a lot of NFL, college basketball all going through this feed, but we're back to where the bread is buttered to the soccer stuff. And we're going to go through, I'm your host, Real_G Warner on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Going to go through the top 5 European soccer leagues, at least 5 of the top 6. And come up with some best bets for this weekend. Of course, we'll pick one from each of the leagues and then have an ultimate best bet end of show. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Please hit subscribe for an Apple Podcast or on Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. Be huge. Get up the search rankings. If you're not a member of BetOnline or sportsbetting.ag, please come take a look at 2 bonuses that are running in the podcast description. They will give you either 50% at the more well-known BetOnline, or will double your deposit at sportsbetting.ag. So check that out. Referral links and codes that are exclusively available to listeners of this podcast. I'm going to start in England. And also, before we get there, if you're not a member of my Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/Real_G Warner. Best spot to get all my plays across all the sports. I know that there's been been on a really good college basketball run to start the season. Thank you for all the support there. But check that out. Patreon.com/Real_G Warner. Okay, so let's get into it. We'll start where the money is, and that is the English Premier League. We have all matches on Saturday. Recording this Friday night, as it was a pretty weak, lame, limited selection on Friday afternoon. Manchester City hosts Liverpool. Currently, Man City a 3/4 goal favorite at home, with the over/under is 3.25, with all the juice to under. There's not a lot for me that I want in this one, really. Ultimately, Manchester City are still the best team in Europe/the world. They're not really a team I want to deal with, I got to say. And Liverpool, until I get a full goal of insurance, I don't think I want to get involved, and I don't think will end up getting there. So I think that's a fairly easy skip for me. Next, we'll go to Luton Town hosting Crystal Palace. Currently, Luton a 1/4 goal underdog at home, with all the juice on Crystal Palace on the road, potentially going to get a half of a goal before this kicks off. Over under is 2.25, juiced a little bit to over. I don't really see where goals come from in this one. Crystal Palace have been so weak offensively. Their defense has really been their best asset, especially on the road, where their offense gets even weaker. Luton Town, just not really a capable English Premier League club, are trying to defend like heck to stay in the league. And I'm not sure that it will happen, but I think both those, team situations and coming off an international window, I think they all point towards a few goals in this matchup. So I do really like that under 2.25. I don't know if it's going to fall to 2. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. That would probably be a price that I wouldn't be willing to play it at. So make sure you get, 2.25 before this all kicks off. Next, we'll go to Burnley hosting West Ham. Currently, Burnley, another home dog, half a goal home underdog at home. West Ham have played pretty well, scored a lot of goals this year. I think it's been unexpected, but it looks like the juice all the way on Burnley right now, so it could fall to 1/4 before this kicks off. Over under is 2.5, juiced all the way to over. Maybe we see goals in this one. Burnley certainly have been very aggressive. I'm not really sure that they should be, though they're trying to install a system very different from previous Burnley systems before that. And it's really, I don't know how well it's gone so far. They don't really have the talent to play the way they want to. But I think they're really just setting the stage for the pass and don't really seem to mind or be too worried about potentially going down. I don't think they're going to get rid of Vincent Kompany or sack him for any reason, really. They want to keep him as long as they possibly can. On the other side, West Ham, they're going to go try to score goals. They're going to try to, and I think they will have success keeping Burnley quiet offensively. I feel like the pass of West Ham should scream under, but Burnley going to play an open game. So I guess I'll put under on my list. I just don't know how much I really want to get involved, because I don't really like the home underdog. And that's something I really want with an under if I'm playing that. Next, we'll go to Sheffield United hosting Bournemouth. Good battle at the bottom of the potential table. Sheffield United, a 1/4 goal underdog at home, with almost about even juice, a little bit more to the Bournemouth side on the road. Over under is 2.5, juice all the way to over. This feels like a little bit of an overreaction to Bournemouth playing really well at home against Newcastle, who were so banged up heading into the international break, coming off Champions League, missing a lot of bodies. I think potentially Bournemouth are getting a little too much credit being a road favorite, considering they've done little this season. Andoni Iraola has been pretty underwhelming, at least his point total has been, since coming in from Rayo Vallecano in the late summer at that. Sheffield United, they haven't really looked very competitive on the road, but at home they've been good. And I feel like they've been cashing a ton of unders lately, whether it was their doing, or really just them not being able to score has certainly helped in that. But I do like the home underdog. So I like that quarter of a goal, and I do like that under 2.5 as well, because I think Bournemouth are a team I'm looking to be against in terms of certainly as a road favorite, and against their totals if they're expected to do a lot of the scoring work, which they certainly are as a favorite on the road. Newcastle then hosts Chelsea in probably the big matchup on the national network here in the U.S. Newcastle, a slight pick'em favorite, more juice on their side. Over-under is 2.75, juice all the way to under. And I think this one probably will close at 2.5, but it's been kind of jockeying between 2.5 and 2.75. I don't believe in the Chelsea offense, haven't for years now. Nothing has really changed that, though their defense has certainly leaked a lot more goals lately. I think they're going to go to Newcastle, a really tough place to play. They're going to try to be as defensively sound as possible, knowing that it's hard to overcome their offensive deficiencies. I think that does play towards under, and I really like Newcastle at home because I don't think Chelsea go in there to beat them. If we draw right now, if Newcastle draw at home, at worst you're pushing with your pick'em. If they get a result, at worst you're pushing. So it's a way to play against Chelsea. Yes, I don't really love the favorite role, though it's only nominal based on the juice being 8 cents higher right now at BetOnline. But for the most part, I think that's the side I want, and I'm looking to back Newcastle, no matter how banged up they are, assuming they have a relatively competent lineup. I like that pick 'em plus that under 2.75. Next, we go to Nottingham Forest hosting Brighton. Currently, Nottingham Forest a quarter goal underdog at home with a little bit more juice. Over under is 2.5 and is juiced all the way to over. So maybe this gets back up to 2.75. I think that's where it was previously. Nottingham Forest have been good at home. That's what kept them in the league last season. I think Bournemouth have shown their weak spots, and they haven't really been as strong this year. So I actually like under 2.5, under as well, under 2.5 as well. Also, just because I think it's a good spot to be against Brighton. Yes, they were able to get some rest during the international break, but a lot of their players are also playing internationally now. So I'm curious to see what that lineup looks like tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time, as I'm now in the Eastern time zone. For the last, the nightcap on Saturday in England, we have Brentford hosting Arsenal. Currently, Brentford a three-quarter goal underdog at home. A little bit more juice over, just 2.5 juice all the way to over. Arsenal haven't really been that impressive to me this season, but they've been stacking points and doing what they needed to. Brentford have been up and down, and really have had some really poor performances when I expected them to do well, and some good performances when I wasn't expecting them to, and then a lot of games that they should have won early in the season that they did not. I don't know that I really want to get involved here until I get a full goal of insurance on Brentford. They've had good results against Arsenal at home ever since coming to the Premier League, but I think there's a little bit more that I want based on their kind of up and down nature. And Arsenal is going to put a ton of pressure on them, and that's going to be a really tough matchup for Brentford, even under the lights at home in the standalone matchup on Saturday night in London. I guess I'll put Brentford on the list, though. I do like that 3/4 of the goal. I don't know that I want to play unders with Arsenal right now. Unfortunately, I think they're going for it and trying to score a ton of goals. And unless I really feel good about a defense and a team not scoring, which I feel like Brentford, they don't have great avenues to goals, but their set piece offenses and they're finding ways to score goals seems to happen pretty well. And that's what's really kept them in this league and made them competitive in England. Moving to Sunday, we have Tottenham hosting Aston Villa. Currently, Tottenham a pick 'em at home with almost all the juice. Over under 3.25, juiced all the way to under. I'm not really a believer in Tottenham. I've said that for a while. Ange ball, it seems to be revolutionary, but I just don't think it's pragmatic enough, especially against a good team like Aston Villa, who have struggled on the road. I'll put it that way. But I'm interested. I guess I was more interested when it was at a quarter of a goal. I don't think I'll play them on the road at Pick'em, so I'll need some movement there. And I don't really want to play an under with Tottenham either, unless their lineup is so banged up and they're missing a lot of attackers. Problem is, I feel like most of their injuries aren't in defense, and it doesn't seem like Ange is changing his style if he's going to play a high line with 9 men like he did against Chelsea after 2 red cards a few weeks ago. So that's probably a no touch for me until Aston Villa moved to a bigger underdog. The nightcap on Sunday, Everton hosts Manchester United in a surprising pick'em. A little more juice on the Manchester United side, but Everton have been getting bet. It seems really short. And in my experience, those numbers go really well for home teams, short home dogs, but Everton aren't even an underdog anymore. So I'm waiting to see if that comes back. Don't have that yet, but I do like under 2.75. I'm just looking to be against the Manchester United side as much as I can, whether that's side or total. And I feel like a very vulnerable road favorite is what this line is showing me. And I don't know that Everton are going to score 3 themselves. So could be a competitive matchup. Bruno Fernandes probably wins this at the end in stoppage time or something, or ties it or earns a point after being outplayed. That seems to be where the season has gone. So I like that Everton under 2 3/4 at the moment, waiting for that pick'em to get a little bit better priced or potentially get that quarter of a goal right at kickoff. Last but not least, on Monday, we have Fulham hosting Wolves. Currently Fulham a quarter goal favorite at home, but all the juice on Wolves on the road. Over under is 2 1/4 and is even money to under, all the way juice to over. So we might get a 2.5 before it kicks off. I'm a big I guess, believer in Wolves. I've loved what they've done. Incredible going into the break to really steal a victory from the jaws of defeat against Tottenham. But not sure I believe that's going to occur all the time. It was certainly nice to get one of those because they usually go the other way for me. But I think going against Fulham is very interesting to me at this point. So I like that Wolves under 2 1/4 is probably the best for me right now, just because by the time anyone listens to this, Wolves might be down to pick them, and it might be pick them at most books right now, which is very, very juiced, -128 currently at BetOnline. So I'll give Wolves under 2 1/4 as my best bet for England. And let's get moving to Spain, trying to get this out. And so people can listen to this before they go to sleep on Friday night here in the US, or I guess early morning when you wake up. Probably people are awake now in Europe. Moving to Spain. So we had a match on Friday, but we're going to start with a Saturday match. We have Rayo Vallecano hosting Barcelona. Currently Rayo a 3/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice on Barcelona. On the road, over unders 2 3/4, juice a little bit to over. My biggest interest here is in the Rayo Vallecano side and really just trying to be against Barcelona. Injuries are stacking up. They also just don't really play very well. The kind of joke that they won La Liga so easily last season looks like it's rearing its head, and we're seeing a huge reversion to the mean in terms of point tallies for Barcelona. They do continue to win matches at the end that they don't deserve. Rayo are going to be a really tough place to play for them. It's going to be a really tight field. Rayo are going to sit back and going to force Barcelona to create, and they've struggled in much bigger pitches. So I don't think this is going to go well for Barcelona. I'm hoping that I get a +1 before the kicks off at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I guess I got 7 hours and 52 minutes as I'm recording to wake up for that one. But we'll be certainly looking to see who's missing for Barcelona, because I expect there might be some injuries. Also like that under 2 3/4 and would love that hits 3 before kickoff, though I'm not sure it gets there. Valencia then hosts Celta de Vigo, the next matchup on Saturday. Valencia currently a quarter goal favorite at home with more of the juice. Over unders 2 1/4, juice almost all the way to over. My only interest here really is under 2 1/4, but it's pretty low, and I'm not sure that's going to make it to my card. Celta de Vigo have been a much more defensive side this season, which they needed to be. But their offense is dried and they've really struggled. And certainly VAR has been a big problem for them, as Iago Aspas continues to say in his post-game interviews, like saying if VAR was on their side of this season, they'd be in the Champions League places instead of fighting relegation, which is comical, but also hilarious. Valencia on the other side, not a great defense. Ultimately, we saw them get smashed at Real Madrid recently. They're a good young team. I think they're going to beat teams as underdogs on the road a fair amount because they're talented, but it's a little weird for them, even at Mestalla, where teams have gotten a lot better. I'm not sure that I trust Celta de Vigo, so that's probably why I stay away from under 2 1/4. But I think it could be a fairly low-scoring game in the Valencian community. Getafe then hosts Almeria. Getafe, half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over under 2 1/4, juice all the way to over. I expect some movement here. Almeria probably climb to 3/4 of a goal before this kicks off. We might get a 2.5 over/under, which to me is gigantic and doesn't reflect Getafe and their all-defense system. Plus, it doesn't really reflect Almeria and what they're doing under the new manager. So I like Almeria. I'm hoping that they climb to 3/4. I don't know if I want to play it there because they've been so bad this season. But I think under 2 1/4 is my biggest interest there, and we might get 2.5 before the kickoff. Atletico Madrid then hosts Mallorca in the last match of Saturday night in the Wanda Metropolitano. It should be a great atmosphere, and Atletico Madrid have been playing so well there at home. They're only a goal and a quarter favorite, which seems big, but maybe not so much to me based on Atleti form. Plus, Mallorca has been really struggling, I think, for results away this season. I think they're going to go in and try to defend as much as possible. So my only real interest is under 2.5, but that's fairly low for an Atleti side that can certainly score 3 by themselves at home and really haven't been perfect at keeping clean sheets. So I'll put Mallorca under 2.5 on my list, but I don't know if that's really something I want to do as I'm speaking about it right now, and I hope I stick to it tomorrow. Moving to Sunday, we have Villarreal hosting Osasuna. Currently Villarreal a quarter goal favorite at home with more of the juice. Over unders 2.5, juice a little bit to over. Osasuna have not had a good season so far. Villarreal have had a worse one though, so I like that quarter of a goal. I don't believe in Villarreal. It's a very low price based on where this team and where these teams started the season, especially based on market expectations, but it certainly reflects Villarreal being on their third manager so far this season, if not fourth. From an Osasuna point of view, they are going to go and try to defend. They've had some really bad goals given up late in matches to kill my totals, especially, but also kill draws at Real Betis. And I think it also killed a lead that they had against Girona a couple weekends ago at El Sadar. So on the road, they've been a little bit better, I feel. But then again, it just hasn't really been a good year for them. I like that quarter of a goal, and I like under 2.5 just because I think Villarreal are not a team that are going to play well at home while their crowd has been against them. The problem is they're a very offensive-minded team, and really depending on the new management style, which I need to analyze before the Sunday matchup, that might also push me towards Osasuna more so than the total. Real Sociedad then hosts Sevilla in the second match on Sunday. Sociedad, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with more of the juice. Actually, on the road team, Sevilla. Over-unders 2.5, juice heavily to under. This is a big match for me because I have Real Sociedad finishing higher than Sevilla in the table. It's gotten off to a great start, but want to make sure that this is not one of those chances in one of the two head-to-head matchups of the season where Sevilla gets some ground back or gain some back. I don't see that happening. Sevilla's offense has been really weak, and for that reason, I really like under 2.5. I don't think Sevilla are going to get to a 1-goal underdog, so that's probably not something I'll play, but I do like under 2.5 because I just feel like Real Sociedad have been really good and have been so talented for years, but a lot of times they struggle to put the ball in the net. So I think that their defense will be good and will keep Sevilla quiet, who are not really doing much and producing much offensively. But 2.5 goals, I do like that under. I feel like we might close 2.25, which still would win if there are 2 goals at the end. So that would still work for under, though I think a 1-0 Real Sociedad victory could certainly be in the cards for Sunday, would be afternoon in Spain. Cadiz then hosts Real Madrid. Currently Cadiz a 1-goal underdog at home with almost all the juice on Real Madrid. On the road, over-unders 2.75, and is a little bit more juice to the under. I'm hoping that 2.75 climbs to 3, but I do like Cadiz at home. I think Real Madrid are a team I continually want to be against, especially with a full goal of insurance. It's a big number for me. I think it's very possible that this climbs. Juice suggests that Real Madrid climb to 1.25. As they keep getting higher and higher, my interest in Cadiz grows more and more. And hoping that the total falls in line and that potentially there's a lot of over money that comes in that flips this juice and potentially gives us a fairly juiced 3 is probably my expectation or my hope at this point. But that push on 3, I think, would make the -120, maybe -125 worth paying potentially to get that line of safety. Last but not least, Real Betis hosts Las Palmas in Sunday's nightcap. Real Betis a 3/4 goal favorite at home with more of the juice on Las Palmas. On the road, over unders 2.25, just a little bit to over. Betis have not scored much at all this season. They've struggled balancing multiple competitions more than they have in the past. They do have some young players who have some talent, but I feel like their consistency is limited, and that's been a problem for them. Las Palmas, they're Barcelona light, don't have the talent, but they're going to try to control the ball, control the match. So I really like them as a road dog, and I think that under 2.25 still feels pretty high, even though based on Betis matches from years and years before, it seems probably pretty low. But based on how that offense has been struggling this year, I think it's a good spot to be. Last but not least, we have the Monday matchup. Girona, top of the table in La Liga, only a quarter goal favorite at home with almost all the juice to Athletic Club Bilbao, the Basque side. That says a lot to me that Girona, top of the table. I mean, they're still started the year big long shot. Now still, I think 20-1 or 25-1 or so odds to win La Liga, despite being first place right now. Not a lot of faith if they are essentially saying that Athletic Club Bilbao are better on a neutral, and I think they're in 4th or 5th or 6th place right now. But Girona are going to come back to the field at some point, but I believe in who they are at this point. They've been really good. They've certainly fought back from some deficits, and they defend by attacking, which is concerning. But that's one way to deal with leads, because literally holding your water as much as you can in your own 18-yard box just leads to penalties and unwanted chances from the other team. So I feel like Girona are built to potentially fight for Champions League. Athletic Club, they're a good defensive side. They're going to try to counterattack, and they should have some angles to do that. We saw Girona have two of your Ukrainians play to try to qualify for Europe. They play pretty hard in the international window, so I wonder how that impacts Zigankov and Dovbyk for this matchup on Monday. It's nice that it's Monday. It gives them a little more time to rest because I think they last played on Tuesday, but or maybe even Monday of last week. So that lineup should be good. I think the total at 2.75 juice all the way to over. I like under as it gets to 3. Still not a believer in Athletic Club and their offense in general, but Girona have been scoring a lot. So that's something I really hope to get that push on 3 if it becomes available. I'll put Bilbao getting a quarter of a goal and that under 2.75 on my list. But for my best bet for Spain, I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of choices here, but really Almeria, I think going against the Getafe and new style of Almeria, I don't think I expect this total to be a lot lower. So that's what I'll put as my best bet for Spain. Moving to Italy, we have all Saturday, Sunday, and I think Monday matches, so haven't missed anything yet. Salernitana hosts Lazio. Currently, Salernitana a 3/4 goal underdog at home with more of the juice. Over just 2.5, and it's juiced all the way to under. Potentially going to see 2.25 before this ends up kicking off. I wouldn't be surprised by that, and I also wouldn't blame the market for doing that because Lazio have not been scoring any goals this season, and they defend pretty well. That's really what they're built to do under Maurizio Sarri, who I thought might be one of the Italian coaches let go over the international break, but as far as I know, it has not happened. Salernitana on the other side don't really have a lot of scoring. They're going to try to defend. They're at home. They should have a really good effort. But I think my biggest interest is under 2.5, especially a very juiced version right now. Atalanta then hosts Napoli. Currently, Atalanta a pick'em. Juice has been flipping both ways. Napoli now have a little bit more juice on their side, which I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping I get Atalanta as a quarter goal underdog, probably a very juiced one at best, or to potentially get them at a pick'em, even money or better. That's probably more likely and possible. Certainly looking for that. I don't really have a feel for a total of 2.5, as Atalanta are forever an over club for me, but they're not. But I'm not an over player, so unfortunately, there's not a lot for me to do there. I just don't really trust Napoli's offense, so I'm hoping they will close a favorite on the road. Next, go to Milan. We'll have AC Milan hosting Fiorentina. Currently, Milan a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.25 juice all the way to over. Hoping that Fiorentina climb to half a goal underdog and that total climbs to 2.5. I think some of my biggest interest is in that Fiorentina under. I just don't really trust their offense. I haven't for a long time. And Milan have really played poorly. Besides that incredible comeback win against PSG in Champions League, things have not gone well for them. And I don't know that an international break where all their players are playing away from Milan and training in different places and all that sort of stuff, that's going to help them to play better, because I think they've struggled and they need to fix it on the pitch, and all the breaks have certainly not helped. Moving to Sunday with Cagliari hosting Monza. Cagliari currently a pick'em at home with all the juice on Monza on the road. Over unders 2.5, and it's juiced to under right now. I think I'm most interested in Cagliari here, but I want them to be a quarter goal underdog, probably to want to get involved. Monza are not the same strong team that are going to attack you. Well, there's the same strategy. They're still going to attack you, but they don't have the same good players that they did last season. So we'll see how that goes, but not much for me there. I don't really even like the total because Monza are going to attack, and that does not help in under 2.5. Empoli then hosts Sassuolo, currently a pick'em as well. All the juice on Sassuolo on the road. Over unders 2.75, and it's juice all the way to over. We might get a 3 before this kicks off. I don't love Sassuolo and their defense, but at 3, I think that's my interest, is to under there. I don't think we're going to have it, and I like the Sassuolo side better. So I don't know that there's much for me to do here until we get that 3. Frosinone then hosts Genoa, currently a pick'em right now. Again, a lot of close spreads in Italy this weekend. Frosinone have all the juice right now at home. Over unders 2.25, and is juiced over. Genoa I've liked better as newly promoted. Didn't really expect that early in the season. Genoa looked a little bit lost, but they've shown they can score goals. So pretty interested in their pick'em right now, though I would love to get a quarter of a goal. Don't know. I mean, at plus money, I do think that they're much more likely to score on a neutral field. Certainly different on the road at Frosinone, but I like Genoa at this point. I'm hoping they move to a quarter of a goal before this kicks off. Next, we'll go to Roma hosting Udinese. Roma, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.25, and it's juiced to over. Udinese have been playing so well lately ever since changing managers. Who knew? That's all it took. But it's unlocked their team. I'm hoping they climb to 1-goal underdog. That's something I'm waiting for. In the meantime, I'll put under 2.25 on my list because I just don't really believe in Roma putting a ton of balls in the net. and Udinese have similar problems. Juve then hosts Inter Milan in the last matchup on Sunday. Juventus, quarter goal underdog at home. Over under is 2.25, juice to over. A little more juice than Inter Milan on the road. Juve getting that quarter of a goal is of great interest to me. I feel like they've had a great season so far. Want to make sure Chiesa is in this lineup, and there's always injury concerns for some reason with a club that's not playing in Europe. But of course, they have a lot of players on international clubs or international teams that were away in the international break. You could say the same for Inter Milan. Pretty much the entire Italian lineup national team was full of Inter players. We'll see what that impacts and how that lineup looks like. I feel like I kind of lean to under 2.25 as well, which only strengthens my lean in that, or my interest in that home underdog in Juve. Problem is Inter score really good goals. Juve want to go up 1-0 and kill the game. I guess I do like under 2.25. I gotta say, because I think it probably follows that script a lot more likely than Inter Milan getting up to a big lead on the road and Juve getting back into it. So it's almost like I feel like there's a good chance you win both your bets if you play Juve plus that quarter and under 2.25, and potentially get a split at worst is really kind of how I'm seeing that game go. Last but not least, we'll move to Monday. A couple matches. Verona hosts Lecce, currently another pick'em. This one a little bit more juice on Verona at home. Over under is 2, very low, but slightly juiced to over. Lecce, I'm hanging out for in the weeds, waiting for them to climb to a quarter goal underdog. I'm not sure that's going to happen. And I don't really want to do anything with that total at 2, though it's very low. And last but not least, Bologna hosts Torino, more competitive. And we finally have a non-pick'em. We have Bologna a quarter goal favorite at home, more juice on Torino on the road. Over under is 2, and it is juiced all the way to over. So we might see a 2.25 before this kicks off. I think I'm most interested in Torino and under. Torino are going to try to possess the ball and keep the ball away from Bologna, which is problematic for Bologna because their offense has not been very good for years now. Torino have a similar problem, but at least on the road as an underdog, they play a lot better and cover more spreads because they're essentially defending with the ball. I think I want to see that total get above 2, though, to even consider an under there. So that's probably something I avoid for now. So a lot of movement I'm hoping for in Italy before this all kicks off. But I think my biggest interest here and my potential best bet is honestly that Juve side getting a quarter of a goal at home against Inter will be a huge match. Should get a lot of bets probably, but we'll see what happens there. Last but not least, we'll go to Ligue, but we have one more league to do before that. That's Germany. Sorry, crossed you guys up with that one. Didn't mean to be that misleading, but here we go. We'll start on Saturday with Borussia Dortmund hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach, a battle of Borussias. I bet Borussia will win or get a result here. I guess it's not as good of a joke as Tigers versus Tigers in American college football, but here we are. Borussia Dortmund, a 1.25 goal favorite at home, with almost all the juice on Gladbach on the road. Over under is 3.5 and is juiced over right now. Dortmund have not been scoring a ton of goals. Their defense has been there's been a lot of complaints about it, but it's been pretty tight versus kind of expectations, I feel. Usually the teams criticize their defense looks really bad when they give up a goal, but it's usually, to me, their defense has been carrying the load and their offense has been worse. I don't really know how that plays into this matchup. Borussia Mönchengladbach are rebuilding. They're far from their best. They don't have good defense. They don't have good offense. If it gets ugly, then the total is really in danger of going over. Some garbage time goals, penalties, young players, whatever. I don't really know where I want to go with this one, so it probably means skip. Next, we'll go to Freiburg hosting SV Darmstadt. Currently, Freiburg a 1-goal favorite at home with more juice on Darmstadt on the road. Over under is 2.75, and there's a fair amount of juice to the over. Hoping this one hits 3. Still not forgetting Bundesliga unders have been endangered species, though I do feel like there's a huge return. They're not just going to continue to get way more XG goals than XG. It's just not going to happen. But that's the mathematician and analytics statistics side. And of course, games are not played on spreadsheets, you idiot. So, but my interest here is Darmstadt. I feel like they've shown they can score goals, though I think they're really going to try to defend and try to make Freiburg score goals and work to score. And Freiburg have not really been able to do that this season unless they're playing a Serbian side at home and really just feasting on big mistakes. I think 3 goals are going to be really hard to see in this matchup. And I like Darmstadt with that 1 goal of insurance. So I'll play, or at least I'll lean to that +1 and that under 2.75. Really hope that we get 3 before kickoff. Union Berlin then hosts Augsburg, their first match after firing. So supposedly Urs Fischer, their manager, left, but they also cleaned house and took out his sporting director. So You tell me if that was chosen by the manager and sporting director. They both went at the same time. Anyway, Union a half goal favorite at home. All the juice on Augsburg on the road. Over there's 2.5, and the juice slightly to over. I'm forever going to lean unders with Union Berlin. I don't know what this new management style is going to look like. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I feel like Augsburg are going to try to take advantage of that. So I leaned Augsburg in that half of a goal, though their new manager, who's come in a few match days ago, has been a little bit of a crazy person and trying to score goals and play really open with a team that really hasn't done that for years and doesn't have the talent to do it. Maybe it's a good spot for Union to turn around, though I think Louis Fischer was the best person to keep them in the league. So I'm very worried about Union, and I'm looking to be against them as much as possible. Therefore, Augsburg will be on my list at getting a half of a goal. We'll see if they actually make it to a play range. And I like under 2.5 just because I think Union Berlin are going to be stuck in a transition in the middle. Next, we'll go to Wolfsburg hosting RB Leipzig. Going to Wolfsburg, a half a goal underdog at home with more of the juice slightly on Leipzig on the road. Over under is 3, just a little bit to under. And Leipzig have big road splits. Wolfsburg have had huge mistakes all the season that have really put them in a bind. And really, they've started awfully to start the season. I think the seat is heating for Niko Kovac, their manager, though I'm not sure it's completely deserved. Though eventually, when your team continues to make mistakes, you probably should change the lineup or maybe do something to prevent that from happening. This is a rematch of a DFB Pokal match that Wolfsburg won as I think a 1-goal underdog, or maybe even 1.25 at home a couple of weeks ago. They won 1-0. I think my biggest interest here is under 3 because there's not enough of a safety net with only getting half a goal from Wolfsburg, considering all their mistakes so far this season. Werder Bremen then hosts Bayer Leverkusen, the leaders, at least entering into this weekend with Bayern playing on Friday, likely taking the lead as they were certainly up 1-0 on my TV screen in the background on Cologne, as that's continuing to go in the background. Anyway, Werder Bremen, a 1.25 goal underdog at home, a little bit more juice on Leverkusen on the road, and they've gotten some more points than I think they deserved and have played better than expected, Werder Bremen, but I'm still not a believer. Over under is 3.5, juice all the way to under. My biggest interest here is I guess sort of backing Werder Bremen in that home team, and that's under 3.5. But it's a big total. It's way bigger than I think German total should be, especially with the weaknesses of the Werder Bremen offense. But at this point, I don't know if I really want to get involved in that. And fading Leverkusen, at least in a total, is not really where I want to be at the moment, unless I feel good about a team's defense. And I certainly don't feel that way about Werder Bremen. And last but not least, the top spiel, the Saturday night big game in Germany, played by itself is Eintracht Frankfurt, a pick'em right now to VfB Stuttgart. Stuttgart with more juice, almost all of it right now on the road, which is silly to me, even if Seru Guirassy is back in the lineup and he's scoring 1 million goals and is the hottest thing since Harry Kane, I guess. Over under is 2.75, juice all the way to under. I don't really believe that there's going to be a ton of goals in this matchup either. I mean, you can basically replay that for every Bundesliga match I've talked about so far. But my interest here is in Frankfurt. I'm hoping that I probably will play them at pick'em at even money or better, but I'm hoping they get pushed to a quarter goal underdog. A bunch of money potentially comes in for the top spiel night one in Germany on tomorrow, but we'll see. Over under, I'd like to get 3. Doesn't look like we're going to get there, but I guess I leaned under 2.75 as well. The Eintracht I think they've been a really defensive team a lot of the season, but that was also because they lost their star striker who was scoring all their goals after the season started. It's been an adjustment, but I think I kind of like their side better. We'll see what happens before this one gets closer to the kickoff. But I think I'll probably be more likely to play Eintracht Frankfurt at a pick'em than under 2.75 right now. Moving to Sunday, Heidenheim hosts Bochum. Currently, Heidenheim a quarter goal favorite at home. It's a big battle, potentially relegation sides. Heidenheim a little bit more juice at home. Over under is 3, and it's just all the way to under. That's a number I don't want to lose because that push on 3 is fairly important. And in the Bundesliga in Germany, I've kind of learned not to take any chances with losing key numbers like that. I do like the Bochum side, though I'm not as probably impressed with them. So I'll put that quarter of a goal on my list just really as a play against Heidenheim. But I think under 3 is a little bit more comfortable for me as a way to play that under. And last but not least, Hoffenheim hosts Mainz 05. Currently, Hoffenheim a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Terrible home team, so it's funny to see that. They've been road warriors, and I expect that to revert to the mean. They'll start playing better at home, getting results there, and start getting far less away. But until that happens, I guess you could play the streak. Over under is 3, just a little bit to under. I think Mainz go in knowing under a new manager that defense is their way to the promised land or to stay in the league for another year. Hoffenheim, they're going to try to score, but we've seen problems for them at home. I don't think Mainz are the team that's going to end that streak or potentially continue that streak, because I don't think Mines are going to win there. So that makes me think that Mines are going to go and try to defend. If they're not going to win, I think it's going to be a lot more low scoring than this line suggests. So I'll put Mines under 3 as my interest in that one. And for my best bet for Germany, before we get to France, I'm going to go with that Bochum under 3. I think at Heidenheim, it's going to be a really tough match. It's at the bottom of the table. It's going to be few goals and hard to make that all happen. Last but not least, we'll go through the Ligue 1 in France, and then I will summarize, get you an ultimate best bet, cut that up for Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that sort of stuff, and get out of here. So we'll start with Clermont Foot. They're hosting Racing Club de Lens on Saturday, the early matchup. Not that early here in the US, thankfully. Clermont, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice over. There's 2.25, juice a little bit to over. Lens are a really aggressive side that have had to rebuild their team, and they're a lot stronger than they were when the season started, and they were not scoring any goals. They're going to Clermont, though, a really small pitch, small stadium, and it's going to be hard to score goals there. So I'm not really sure that changes too much. I feel like I'm interested in the home dog, and I'm also interested in that under 2.25, as I feel like Clermont Foot score goals from penalties. They get a lot of them at home, but probably less likely against a Lens side that are so much better than them. So I think I like under more than the side there. Strasbourg then hosts Mine's on the mind. So Strasbourg hosts Marseille. Currently, Strasbourg a half a goal underdog at home with more of the juice over. And there's 2.25, juice all the way to over. Waiting and hoping this one hits 2.5, which I think it looks like it will. Marseille have not really had a strong season. Gattuso, their second manager is changing how they're going to play and probably be more aggressive, but I haven't really seen much of that. It seems more pragmatic than anything so far. Strasbourg have done a lot in the offseason to build up their squad, has not changed the results at all, and they've continued to kind of struggle at the bottom of the table. So I think this is a tight match. I guess I like the home dog to make this competitive, but I don't like it necessarily enough to play their side. So I'll be looking at under in that one. On Sunday, Nice hosts Toulouse in the early matchup. Nice currently a 1-goal favorite with more of the juice over. There's 2.5, juice all the way to under. Nice have not given up any goals for a long, long time now. Besides when they play PSG, it seems they've been very competitive. We're at top of the table or in that area. Toulouse on the other side have lost a lot of players, have been balancing Europe, have a lot of injuries and multiple competitions they're fighting. So I don't know that I like the +1 as much there, though I expect it to be low scoring. So I'll put Toulouse under 2.5 on my list. Next, we'll go to Montpellier, hosting Brest. Stade Brestois, probably the biggest surprise in France this season. Montpellier, a quarter-goal favorite at home with more juice on that Brest side on the road. Over and there's 2.5, juice to the under, fair amount. I think I like Brest here. I don't know if I like under enough because Montpellier have always been an offensive side. Got a new manager who's certainly more into defending, and I think was the former Stade Brestois manager. But I think Brest is the quarter of a goal underdog is the one I like best in this one, though I guess I like under 2.5 a little bit there as well. Football Lorient then hosts Football Club Metz in a battle of teams at the bottom of the table. Somehow Lorient are half a goal favorite. I can't really explain that one. So give you Metz. I love that, getting a half of a goal. I seem to bet them every week. And like I did a few seasons ago before they got relegated. And I don't know, things haven't changed. I like that under 2.25 as well. And I think that plays into a nice little under and underdog potential for a 0-0 and get out of there with 2 units. That'd be really nice. Nantes then hosts Le Havre, who are last season's Ligue 2 champions, who continue to every year the Ligue 2 champion, whatever the league below you winner does, they're usually, I think, going to stay up the next season. Nantes, a half a goal favorite with all the juice on Le Havre on the road. I think speaks to Nantes potentially going to close at a quarter goal favorite, maybe a little bit more juice, showing they're a little bit better on a neutral. But I think Le Havre have shown they can play pragmatic, and they certainly in the past in Ligue 2 last season did it by possessing the ball and scoring a ton of goals. So I like Le Havre. I feel like they've gotten off to a good start, and it's deserved. So give me that Le Havre getting half of a goal right there at Nantes. Not really a believer in Nantes. They've been scoring a ton more goals this season, but I like under 2.25 as well because I think it'll be a tight matchup. Rennes then hosts Reims. Currently, Rennes a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice on Reims on the road. Over under is 2.5, juice a little bit to under. Another one where I just feel like Reims are playing above expectations, but a deserved way. And Rennes, they're not the young heartthrobs. Well, that's probably not the right way to put it, but they're not the young studs that are growing, the Jeremy Dolcuz that's going to go to Manchester City and have 4 assists in a match type thing. They've gone older. It's not the growth club they've been in the past, and I feel like their ability to play well has deteriorated. I think they're better away because they have more veterans, but they have less flashy players that can really get into the 18-yard box with their incredible pace. And so I'm looking to be against them. So I like that half of a goal for Rems. And then I also like under 2.5 as well, because I feel like there's a fair amount of belief in Rennes scoring a bunch of goals in that total. And I don't really think that happens. I think Rems are just as likely. Last but not least, Lyon hosting Lille, and what's usually a huge matchup. And now Lyon fighting relegation. The total here is 2.5, a little bit juiced to under, and Lyon still a quarter goal underdog. Yet they're getting all the juice at home. But scary to see a team like Lyon with such history fighting at the bottom of the table. They're a team I want to be against. Unfortunately, I don't play road favorites really, so that's not really a spot for me. But I do like, if any, I mean, I don't really like under 2.5 either, because Lyon's defense is struggling, has not been good. It's not very talented, and Lille are going to push and try to score a ton of goals here. So I hope that Lyon will end up closing the favorite here. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. That'd be a fairly big jump or big change. But I gotta say, that's probably my biggest interest there, is that I guess if I could back Lille on the road, but I don't even know how to make that happen. That's going to probably take a lot. So I'll probably leave it there and make my best bet from France. I'll go with Football Club Metz. I'll go under 2.25 in their road matchup at Lorient. So I guess it's time for the best bet. Before we get there, if you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a 5-star review. Huge for the search rankings, and will ultimately help what else comes out on this betting pitch I guess podcast network we're calling it now, because we have NFL and also college basketball podcasts coming out there. If you're not a member of my Patreon yet, patreon.com/real_G Warner, best spot to get all my soccer stuff, my college football, my NFL, my college basketball. Been off to an awesome college basketball start. I think I've been profitable in all sports, but college basketball, I think, has been like 85%. Was incredible. Probably not able to keep that up, but just trying to stay above 60% as long as possible, because I'm sure that will be worth it for all of you. So check it out. Patreon.com/real_G Warner. Of course, I'm always at pregame as well. So check that out. If you, that's been a really good run there. Certainly there's less. So if you don't want to follow plays throughout the day, get my leans, my write-ups as they're coming, like you do on Patreon. Good spot. Just get one list of picks each night is go check out pregame.com if you're into that. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to cover? I guess the sportsbook links, please follow along. There's some good bonuses, 50% of BetOnline plus double your money, which is the bonus I would go for at sportsbetting.ag. So look out in the podcast description for that. If you need any help with that, please anyone who wants to slide in my DMs, @real_G Warner on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, go ahead. But if you got some questions about deposits or Bitcoin or something like that, I'm very happy to help there. So I guess let's do it. So this is the @real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, and Twitter. This is the ultimate best bet portion of Betting the Pitch. And so this is, I guess, the November 25th edition, since we're recording it late night. From England, I like Wolves under 2.25 goals. From Spain, La Liga, I like Almeria under 2.25. In Ligue 1 in France, I like Metz under 2.25 goals. In the Bundesliga in Germany, I like Bochum under 3. And in Serie A in Italy, I like Juventus getting 1/4 goal. For my ultimate best bet on this episode, Betting the Pitch, follow us. There's plenty of stuff coming out: college basketball, pro football, of course, soccer podcasts coming out each a week, and that's why you're here. Take Juventus getting 1/4 goal as my best bet, ultimate best bet for this episode. I really like their chances coming off an international break, which I think will stymie offenses. I think Inter Milan will have a ton of tired players from Italy working their way into the Euro 2024 and clinching a spot. I think Juventus keeps this low scoring, and I think they win this match. So give me 1/4 goal underdog at home. So that'll do it for this episode of Betting the Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. As always, whether you're listening, if you like this late night on Friday night going into Saturday, let me know if that's better for you. If it's worse, let me know as well. I'm trying to get back on a normal schedule, but with the American holidays, you never know. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you all very soon.